God promised in Genesis 16, Ishmael was going to have a nation, a line of descendants that would always be wild donkeys raising their hands to their kinsmen, the children of the promise, the Jews and the Christians. Who are the modern day Ishmaelites? You guessed it, Muslims. That means, if the Bible is correct, and it always is, we are always going to have an Ishmael problem. Now, this has been going on even before Muhammad invented Islam. Why? Because God promised Ishmael would always have descendants that would be a wild donkey. You say, I'm not so sure that I trust your interpretation of Genesis 16 and 21. That's good. Never believe anything I say without checking it out. So I checked it out for you. For instance, I went to Benson's commentary on Genesis 16. Here's what he had to say. He will be a wild man. So the word is rude and bold and fearing no man, untamed, untractable, living at large and impatient of service and restraint. His hand will be against every man. That is his sin, and every man's hand against him. That is his punishment. But this prediction chiefly respects the seed of Ishmael, who it is here foretold should be wild, free men like a wild donkey, mischievous to all around them and extremely numerous. Such they have been for almost 4,000 years, infamous for theft, pillage, robbery, revenge, and murder. It hath therefore, as Mr. Brown justly observed, been the continued and common interest of mankind to extirpate them from the earth. But though almost every noted conqueror who hath appeared in the world, whether Persian, Grecian, Roman, Tartar, I love that kind of sauce, or hath pushed his conquest to their borders, or even beyond them into Egypt or Arabia, not one hath ever been able to subdue these Ishmaelites or deprive them of their freedom. Here then we have another remarkable prophecy, most evidently fulfilled, and a continued and standing proof before the face of the whole world, exactly like that which arises from the present state of the Jews, of the truth of divine revelation. God predicted. Why? Because he ordains everything and knows the future, that Ishmaelites would always be among us. Who are the descendants of Ishmael today? Islam. That means we'll never be seeing the end of them. Now, let's just say somehow Islam dies out. It will simply be replaced by another relative, another descendant of Ishmael, who will be a wild donkey. Don't believe me? Then believe John Calvin. Here's what the Reformer had to say. Ishmael will be a wild man. The simple meaning is that he will be a warlike man and so formidable to his enemies that none shall injure him with impunity. Ishmael, although his neighbors should make war upon him and should on every side conspire to destroy him, shall yet, though alone, be endued with sufficient power to repel all their attacks. He does not, however, speak of Ishmael's person, but of his whole progeny, his descendants. For what follows is not strictly suitable to one man, and he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren, as this is properly applicable only to a nation. We hence the more easily perceive that they are deceived who restrict the passage to the person of Ishmael. Persuasive speeches, closed borders, military might is never going to put an end to the wild donkey problem. But you say, what about the gospel? Wouldn't that put an end to it? Wouldn't that stop Islam and terrorist attacks? And the answer to that question is no. Why? Because God predicted they are never going away. That doesn't mean we don't preach the gospel. But we preach the gospel because we've been commanded to, and because we want to see God glorified. We want to see Muslims saved. But if we think that we are going to take care of the wild donkey problem by preaching the gospel, we are deceived, and yet we preach the gospel because we want to see them saved. But we must recognize that we are not going to fix the Islamic problem. Our motive for preaching the gospel is our gratitude toward God. But if you and I think what we'll do is we'll invade the land with missionaries so that everybody gets saved, and then the Islamic problem, the wild donkey problem, will be exterminated, then we are simply committing the same sin that Sarah did when she took the matter into her own hands and had Abraham sleep with the bond servant. God was not pleased with her effort to step into his role and take over. And the same thing is true of us. If we think that we are going to put an end to the Islamic problem in any way, shape, or form, including the propagation of the gospel, then we are going to be very disappointed, and our motives are going to be all wrong, and we will be committing the sin of Sarah. So who is going to take care of the wild donkey problem? Jesus, when he returns to crush his enemies, to bring justice to the nations. To whom do we look to put an end of the Islamic problem, the wild donkey issue? The same one that Sarah should have looked to, God. Did you know that Jesus Unmasked now has a Sunday school study guide? According to the experts, Jesus Unmasked Sunday School Guide. I'm pretending to actually read that, but I'm making it up. The Jesus Unmasked Sunday School Guide is the single best Sunday school curriculum ever created in the history of Sunday school curriculum. Wow, that's what they say. Those are the same people who say that we're being tracked by the government. If you're getting ready for Sunday school, Jesus Unmasked now has a study guide showing Jesus in every book in the Old Testament. Your class will love it. They will be convinced, persuaded, and assured that the Bible is the supernatural Word of God and Jesus is the promised Savior, beginning in Genesis 1. Take it from them. Get the Jesus Unmasked Sunday School curriculum.